Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today is the 13th lecture of DDCDP, and we are here after a gap of 3 weeks. Actually, we had a lot of assignments to do. So finally, once all of your CSS skills are almost, you have learned a lot and you have done assignments as well. So now we are back with something really interesting, which is called TailwindCSS. And we will be studying Tailwind CSS today. Remember, we had in one of the classes we had studied the power of classes. So I had a reason for that, because we had to learn Tailwind CSS at the end of our CSS module. So what is Tailwind CSS? If you go to TailwindCSS.com, you will get to this page. Here, for example, this is a design which we want to make. So this is all the markup in it, and we write CSS with the help of classes. So those classes already have been defined for us, and we will only use them. Okay. So for example, if I gave you a task for say 1 year to write all the CSS classes against CSS rules, so you will write some classes and then people can use those classes. So Tailwind CSS is something, a community who have written some classes, and we will be using them. So for example, let me give you, if we have to give a div some width, for example. So I won't go to CSS, I will just give it this W-96 class, for example. So it will have some width. If I need to give some space between the divs, so I will just give it a class of space. That's it. I won't go to CSS. Are you getting it? The concept actually. So let me quickly do something. For example, it has a playground also. So playground, Tailwind CSS. This is Tailwind Play. All of you can go in your laptops to this page. So it's play.tailwind.css.com. play.tailwindcss.com. So here you can remove all the HTML. For now we will just focus on the HTML. So for example, I need to create two divs equal width, and one should be red, background red, and another one is background green, for example. So I'll create div.wrapper, simple. Okay, div.wrapper, and it has two divs. For example, div class is equal to item 1, and div class is equal to item 2. While learning Tailwind CSS, you can directly go to play.tailwindcss.com and you can write your markup, and Tailwind CSS is already included here. Okay. So for example, I want it to be 2 columns, and let me give wrapper a background color. So if I come to tailwindcss.com and at the top come to docs. Docs means documentation. So here on the left you can see a lot of stuff. So for example, if I come to the colors section, and you can learn CSS also from this. So background color, for example, I need to give background color to this wrapper. Okay, so rather than going to CSS and targeting the class and then giving background color, what I will do is I will just give bg white or red or whatever, and it has some accents also, some percentages of the color. So for example, if I need to give this color, bg red 400. So I'll just copy bg this. Got it? So rather than going to CSS, I will just give it a class of bg red 400. So it will, now the wrapper will have this. And if I need to give it a width, for example, so width that dash 50% is probably 1/2. This is width. So if I need to give it a width of 50%, so rather than going to CSS, I will give it this class. And even if you hover over it, play .TailwindCSS will show you the CSS against this class. Are you getting? So for example, if I hover over it, so it will show background dash color this, right? The next thing is, if I preview it, right now it has no content, so let us give some height as well. So for example, h dash 10. So if I hover over it, means 2.5 rem height. So if I go to preview now, so it has a height now. Is it okay? Okay. The next thing is, how can I center it? In CSS, what's the property to center? Right, Shabas. So here in HTML, for this we have mx dash auto. So this, if I now hover over it, it means margin left auto, margin right auto. So rather than going to CSS, you can directly write classes and it will do your work. Is it fine? You probably have got the idea now. So if I preview it, is now in the center. Is it fine? The next thing is, I want these two to be, for example, let it be a grid. So I will give this background bg dash green dash this one, for example, and this one as bg dash yellow dash 300. That's fine. Let us give it some height also, height dash 12, and this one is also h dash 12. Is this fine? Maybe we need to make it 12 also. Okay, so if I preview it now, we have these two divs. Now I need to make them side by side. So what I can do, either make it flex or grid. So let us start with grid for now. So in HTML, to the wrapper we will give grid dash calls dash, these are again classes. Okay, so I want it to be 2 columns, so grid dash calls this 2. Is it fine? And if I hover over it, it is showing me the repeat to min max 1 for fr. So now if I preview it, why is it not working? Because we haven't given it a grid class. So grid and grid dash calls 2. Now if we preview it, it is in 2 columns, right? The next thing is, and the most interesting part in Tailwind CSS is that even you don't need to go to CSS for media queries. So for example, if I let us add some more divs also, 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, or maybe 8. So if I preview it now, let us give it different colors. What else? Why is this one not working? I think this is fine. So these are all the boxes for now. Okay, so if I want, for example, this to be 4 columns, so what I will do, I will just change it to 4. and that's it. If you remember, in one of our classes I had given you an assignment regarding this as well. Just with the help of classes, the number of columns would change. But it again had this purpose, so that you can understand it well. So now if I go to preview, so it has now 4 columns, right? Now I want on this to be on desktop, but on tablet maybe 3 columns or 2 columns, and on mobile just 1 column, right? So that we also can achieve. If I come to the documentation here and come to the responsive section, where is it? This is responsive. Okay, so it has 5, by default it has 5 breakpoints. Let me just zoom it in. So SM, MD, so SM is 640 minimum width, MD is 768, large is this, extra large is just like t-shirts. So extra large, and this is 2XL. So you can customize it as well. We will have a different in another class we will have some knowledge about customizing Tailwind CSS also, but for now we will take these default ones. So SM, MD, LG, XL and 2XL, right? So for example, I want now this design on MD, I want it to be 2 columns, and on large I want it to be 3 columns, and on extra large I want it to be 4 columns, right? So let us do it. I won't go to any media queries. What I will do is I will just come here. So for now, if you go to for example, I have already told you what is mobile first approach. Do you remember? Yes. So for example, I want it to be mobile first. So for now I will just make it 1 column. So if we come to preview, now it is just 1 column. Okay, but on small screens, maybe on SM screens, like if I go back to that documentation, SM screen is this and MD is this. So let us go to MD. So next is I want it on MD, I want it to be 2 columns. So what I will do, I'll just come here. This is grid calls 1, so I will make it MD grid dash calls dash 2. Just with this, I don't need to go to any media queries. It will become 2 once I reach MD screen, right? Similarly on, so from 1, this means MD and beyond. Okay, so if you need to make everything 2 columns, this is fine, that's it. But for example, on large screens you want it to be calls dash 4. So now if we come to preview, it is still this, but if we control minus, rather we can MD grid this, LG grid dash, do we have LG here? LG, yes. So on LG it will be 4 columns. So actually we need to make it yes. So if you zoom it out, now it is 4 columns. Is it fine? Yes. So you haven't written even a single line of CSS right now, and you have all these happening because somebody has written some CSS for you already and you have got to use it. Is this fine? Yes. So play.tailwind.css is something where you can practice Tailwind CSS, and this is the documentation. You know all the CSS already now, and you can just go to any of, for example, if you need background color or some font or whatever, right? So we can go to respective. For example, if I have to use font size, right? So I will go to font size, and then it again has text dash LG XL to XL, and it has its corresponding CSS also. So for example, I really need to have large font size, which is 128 pixels. So text dash NXL, I will copy it, and in one of the divs, for example here, I will write an H1. Hello Tailwind, right? But this is small, so I will give it a class of text dash 9XL, or even 3XL is fine for now, 2XL, whatever. You got it? And we can give these classes for text in the base CSS as well. We'll do it later on, but for now, just you need to realize that you can give any property of CSS just as a class in Tailwind CSS. If you need to give some border, for example, I need to give border to this blue one, so what I will do is, or maybe just top and you can just type border dash top dash 2, so you can see a border here, and even the border color border dash red, and even in borders you have some text also. Sorry, this is now the border, so colors has shades also, right? So with these two properties, which ones? Border dash T2, even you can hover over it and it will show you the border top width. You can learn even CSS from TailwindCSS. Okay, now this is in play.tailwindcss.com, but you need to actually use TailwindCSS in your own projects, right? So for that purpose, if you go back to TailwindCSS.com and get started, so here it has an installation instruction. So in your own projects, you need to install TailwindCSS, and that's the reason I have asked you to install Node.js. So I will go through these steps. First, I'll go to on my desktop, for example, or maybe in the documents, I'll create a folder TailwindCSS, and I open it in this. So this is bare bone folder where we need to do all the stuff, right? I will open this in terminal as well. So first step is, this is that folder. With the help of, let me zoom in. Once we get into JavaScript, we will go into detail of what Node.js is and what it actually does. For now, just follow these steps so that we can install TailwindCSS in our projects. Okay, so the first command is npm init -y. It actually creates a file in our root, which is known as package.json. So npm init -y will create a file in. So if we come to TailwindCSS folder, now we have a file, this one. So actually that command created this, which is a setting file. Actually package.json is a setting file which reads a lot of is used for saving some settings on dependencies and all. So for now, just take it as this. We will go into details of it once we are into JavaScript. So it has been created for us. The next step is, if you go to the documentation in TailwindCSS, the next step is npm install -d TailwindCSS. So -d means a dependency, dev dependency. So we will just copy it and npm install -d Tailwind CSS. So it will download Tailwind CSS and install it in the folder for us. And if you haven't installed Node.js in your system, so you won't be able to run these commands. That's why you have been asked to install. So it has been downloaded, and if you go to package.json file, now it has a div dependency extra, and this is Tailwind CSS. The next step is very easy actually. npm Tailwind, it will create a file for us, Tailwind config file. So the second command is this, and it says it has created this file for us. This is tailwind.config.js file. Because of that command, it has been created for us. Very simple. The next step is configure your template path. So actually there are thousands of classes in CSS, Tailwind CSS. So what we need to do is we need to tell Tailwind to use only those classes which we have used in our code. So this way the size of the final file will be smaller. That's why this line lets Tailwind CSS know that to search for classes you should go to .html files and JS files. So we just need to add this line of code to the Tailwind config.js file. So yes, we will replace this line with this one, but here we will be doing everything in root, for example. So we don't need .src folder, we will just make it like this. So now the Tailwind machine will know search for .html and JS files in our root. So for example, if I create a new file, index.html, so if I have written any Tailwind classes here, it will search for it in these HTML files. So that's the setting we needed to make, which we have made now. You don't need to understand it fully before we plunge into JavaScript, but for now, just to install Tailwind CSS in our local repo, we need to do this. The next step is we will create a file and call it input.css, or anything, you can call it anything, and we will add these 3 lines of code to that file. So for example, here we will create a new file and call it input.css and paste these 3 lines of code. At Tailwind base, there are 3 types of classes in Tailwind. Base classes, which you know, I mean, if you need to give some font sizes and blah blah, those go into base, and then components, and then utilities. So components are for larger chunks of things. For example, if you have to define a button, so you can go inside the components directory then, and then there are utility classes also. So these 3 you have to add into something called input.css. The next step is this. Copy this file and let me create one more file. It will be main.css. So whatever we input here, it will be output to this file, and for this we have to write inside a script this thing. For example, we'll for now call it watch, and just this, and it will be inside the quotation marks, comma. This is actually JavaScript setting, but we will learn this once we are into JavaScript. Right now just copy and paste it. So what this tells us is, if we run the watch command scripts, it will copy, we are not in the folder, so we will remove it, input.css to main.css for us. Okay, so it will copy the input.css to main.css for us when we run the watch command. That's it. And again, we in our HTML files we need to link this. This is simple stuff. The main.css should be linked to the HTML file. So if I come to index.html now, and here I will just need to make it link to this, right? So now if I come to command prompt and I run npm run watch, so this script will be run for us, this one, watch. So it will copy whatever is inside input.css to main.css. Right now, before running this command, I will open main.css. This is empty, you see. But now if I run this command npm run watch, so what it will do, it will stuff main.css. so now this is open main.css, and it has all the css styles for us. Right now these are just the bare minimum. We will add stuff and it will update it accordingly, but for now you can just quickly go through what it has done for you. So for example, this is before after box sizing. You have already learned about this. These are css variables, okay, html and hosts, whatever. They have done a lot of research about all this. These are the default fonts families, and then these are the heights. h1 h2 has this font sizes and all this. It has comments also, so you can just go through them. But for now this is nothing, just bare bone css for us from Tailwind. Is this fine?
Yes.
Okay, so just to check if we have installed Tailwind CSS properly, I will just copy this HTML from play ground and paste it inside index.html inside the body, just this. Okay, so again we have a wrapper class mx auto grid, this and md grid calls to lg calls for. So if I just refresh the page now or open it in the browser, so we have the same stuff. Even if you are you want to quickly do something in Tailwind, you can directly go to play.tailwind.css.com, do it there, just copy it to your own project. So now it's responsive, and if we come to certain breakpoint, it will. Is this fine?
Yes.
So we have correctly set up our Tailwind CSS. If we come to main.css, so the way Tailwind works is we have now used grid class, so it has copied the grid class. We have used the h12 class, so it has copied it. Okay, so for example, there are 1 lakh classes in original Tailwind CSS, but we have only used say 500. So this, it will scan our HTML documents and it will only pick the ones we have used, so that the file size is smaller. And that's it. If we each time if you change something here, it will render it for you. So for example, I changed the background color of this to purple, yellow. So let me go to the this one. This is a BG purple 300, right? So here in the command prompt you can see rebuilding, so it does it again and again for you. It scans and it regenerates your Tailwind CSS. So the watch command which we had used, it actually does this thing. Okay, so each time you do any of the changes, the watch command will run this for you. And that's it. Now in the second part of this lecture, we have an assignment which we will be doing live here. So we will take some break, and after the break we will be doing that in Tailwind CSS, inshallah.
Searching the configuration of the Tailwind
Documentation, man, simple step, copy paste, and that's it. Okay, welcome back after the break. So we have this Figma design as an assignment now, which we will be doing in Tailwind. Actually, this is if I go to official YouTube of Tailwind Lab. This is official channel of and this is that talk I was mentioning you in the break. Tailwind Connect 2023. This is Tailwind conference, and this guy is talking about Tailwind. So it has one of the, if I go to Tailwind Labs, and this is building a fancy responsive tile grid with Tailwind CSS. Actually, this is what we are redoing actually. So you can go to this video also, but we will redo it in our own design. So this is that assignment. Actually, this is a desktop version. We have this text and then this image, this paragraph, these images, and notice this one is empty. So you can do it in custom CSS as well, in grid, and we will be doing it in Tailwind. And if we go to the next screen, this is for tablet, and this one is mobile, right? Okay, so the markup I already have copied, written the markup so that we can save some time. I have created a file grid.html, so it has a reparative of class. Right now I haven't given it any class. This is h1, sorry, this is h1. Then these boxes, box 1, text 1, box 2, where all of the images are. So this is the markup, simple. This is that heading, and then the images, and this is the text, and this is that last text. So if we go to the assignment again, this one, so this is that top text, this is image with a box, and if I inspect it in the browser, so very simple markup. Div class is equal to wrapper, then h1, and then all the boxes, and in each box there is image and the paragraph. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes.
And very simple as well. So just with the usage of some grid CSS classes from Tailwind, we will be able to do it hopefully. We are just including the same main.css file in grid.css. That's it. Okay, so if I give it container class, and remember we need to center it also, so mx-auto. So now everything will be centered. This is that, it has been centered now as a container. This is that container. The next thing is, this is that h1 class, so we will give it some text dash, let us give it the highest Excel. This is fine. So now we have a bigger h1. I'm going to start it from desktop for now. Okay, so you can do it from mobile first as well. The next is, if you see, it is actually 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, or even here it is 4 columns.
Yes.
So what we can do is we can make the container grid. So we just need a class grid,
Yes.
and grid dash calls dash 4. That's it. So with these 2 classes only, I haven't gone to any CSS file, but it will be now in 4 columns.
Sir, the container by default has padding on that price.
Yes, no padding, but width, it has widths. You can check
80%.
it. You can check on mouse hover. If you install an extension Tailwind IntelliSense. So it will help you with these hovers. Okay, so if you come to if you mouse over on container, so by default it is 100%, but on widths it has some max width, which we had discussed yesterday if you remember. So on minimum width 1536, you have a max width of 1536. Okay, so by default,
Can we change these values?
yes, in the earlier part of the class I told you we can customize each and everything in Tailwind. So we will have another class maybe early next week, where you can customize every aspect of Tailwind. Okay, so we have given it container, MX auto, grid call. So with just these two, it has become a 4-column grid. It's fine. Now if you go to this, it probably is covering 3 columns, the H1, and this one is 4th, right? So what we can do is, we will come to the H1 and call dash span dash 3. Is it fine?
Yes.
So it will span 3 columns just with one class. If we come to this one, so
Yes.
now it is spanning 3 columns.
Yes.
Is fine?
Yes.
Okay, next let us go to the design again. This text is spanning 2 columns, the paragraph.
Yes.
So we'll come to this paragraph. This is that and call span dash 2. This is fine.
Yes.
So if I refresh it, now it is spanning 2. Let me give background colors to these boxes. So bg dash, and then you will have to tell me why the images are not stretching to. So bg dash this, and this one is bg dash purple. For now, let us give these boxes some colors, background colors. Okay, so if you refresh it, all of the boxes have now background colors, but images are not stretching to the
Drupal container.
yeah. So why is it so?
Because we haven't yet given a width 100%.
Exactly, that was my question. You might have thought before, prior to adding these background classes, that this width is because of some gap, right?
Yes.
But that was not because of the gap. Actually, original images are all of this size, so we need to give some 100% width to these images. For now, let us forget what object cover does, but we will give with 100% to the images. So what we can start with w dash full. This is the Tailwind class for with 100%, and even if you hover over it, what we get is with 100%, right? So we'll give it to all the images for now. Now if we refresh it, so all of the images are 100%, and we can now safely remove the background. Okay, next, but we will have these backgrounds for now so that we can debug it. Maybe we are missing 100% width here, so we will give it to this one as well. Okay, the next thing is so this one stretches to which we have given it. Now this one 1 2, let me count, 1 2 3 4, the fourth image starts from the second column.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is 1 2 3 4, this one starts from second column. So we can give it something like call dash start, something dash start, call dash start 2. So it will start from the second column. So if I go to this one, where is it? Call dash start 2. This one. One, two, three, and this is fourth. 1 2 3 4 2 3 4th. Okay, maybe something is here. 2, sorry, we are giving it to this one. It should go here. So now hopefully 1 2, maybe we have again given it to some wrong.
So it's working. It's working. So
Okay, but no, it's not. Probably 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so where has, okay, we have images, different images. Okay.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Probably Khan has changed it. Okay, that was a confusion. Okay, so it almost is working now. The next is these two, and this one is going to start from the third column and spanning 2 columns.
Yes.
The text, the last one. Okay, so what we can do is,
Please.
I will leave it to you. What classes we can give?
Call 3.
Call dash start dash 3, and it will
Span 2.
call dash span dash 2. Good. So it's starting from the third one and spanning 2. This is fine.
Yes, sir.
The next, if you see, this one is also centered, this one is also centered in the original design. This one, you can see it is centered, and this is also centered in the,
Yes, sir.
and this one also. So what property in custom CSS you will give to in grid so that it is centered? We are just doing it the one.
Alignment of highlight. First make it grid, then.
Yeah, we can do that also, but there is a self property also.
Yes, sir. Align self.
Yeah, so we can give, for example, this one self dash center. So now,
Sir, it's work in both direction, axis and y-axis.
yeah, and it is actually, if you have to do something within a call a cell, so this self property is used. This one will also be this one. So you can hover over any of the property and you can see what it does. Okay, so align self actually does one thing, it aligns itself. So we will do the same for this text also. So self dash center, and the last one as well, self dash center. So it is also centered, this one is centered, this one is also centered. Okay, this one needs some padding if you agree.
Yes, sir.
So for padding we can give something like p dash. So if we give padding like this, for example I give it padding 10, so it will give it from all directions. The padding will be from all directions, p dash 10. So now it has some padding. Okay. And if you need to give padding only on the x direction, so it is p dash x, padding left and right. Okay. If you need to give padding in y direction, means top and bottom, but we will make it p dash 10. Now if I remove these background colors one after the other, or maybe we need it in other.
If we need it on a single side, like top, left, bottom, padding PL.
Yeah, exactly. You guessed it right. So you can go to the padding documentation and you will see all the PL, PT, PB, something like this. Okay. So what we can do is, to the wrapper we can give it gap dash say 10. And even if you need gap on the x direction, so it will give it to on the left, and if on the y, so this one, but we will give it 10 on all directions. Now if you refresh it, you see there is some gap now. Earlier it was not the gap, actually the image was not stretching to its containers, but right now it is gap, so it looks almost the same. Maybe the font we need to change, but that is up to you. The next is, if I just look at the behavior of the container, default container, if I just move past some breakpoint, for example here, so the width of the container has changed, okay, because of the container class is in something like that. Okay, so right now this is not what we need. Okay, so what we can do is, we will again go to the design. Maybe this is final. Now we need to shift to the tablet. Here it is 2 columns. We agree? So if it is 2 columns, what we can do is, and maybe on MD. Okay. Yeah. So what we need to make what change we need to make here? Please let me know.
Columns 2, MD 2, column
MD column
column 2,
grid
column 2. Sorry,
Yeah.
2 columns.
So here I will do MD colon grid dash calls dash 2. But you have to let me know how will it behave. Will it be 2 on desktop also, or it will be
So it will be only work on the medium size, because we already defined that it will work on MD.
Okay, let us just check. So I am on desktop now, and still it is 2 columns. Good. It is, I am on desktop, but it is still 2 columns because
we didn't specify the desktop.
exactly. So here actually it was working for all of them.
Yes.
Now this is for responsive first concept, right? So if you need to make, for example, we need to have it like this, right, for a mobile first, and then we will move on to MD or LG or whatever, but we started it with this, so we will make it LG this and MD this, and on mobile we will make it grid dash calls dash 1. Okay, and even we can do this, we can remove grid from mobile. So initially it won't be grid, but it will be grid after MD. So now it will be grid even up to the LG, to desktop also. Got it? If you need to make something flex only on higher resolutions, so you can do this. It won't be grid on mobile, but it will be grid on MD. But for right now, let us leave it as grid. So on mobile it is 1 column, on MD it is 2 columns, and LG it is 4 columns, right? Similarly, here call span 3, we will now fix it according to. So we know we did it for LG, so initially we need to give LG to all of those so that we don't mix things up. Even this one LG, or if we want it to be centered across all resolutions, so we can leave it this way. Then LG and LG. So this won't make a design broken now on LGs. Okay. Now we need to fix things for this. Is now working fine, just like a while ago. Now if I we go to the inspect and go to the MD size, whatever it is, this is it. Okay, so now it is 2 columns on MD. Fine. If we check the resolution, this is one, it stretches 2 columns. Okay, this one goes 2 columns or maybe 1 column, and the second one is empty. So what we can do with it is, on MD, H1 on MD here, LG call span 3, and we can make it MD call dash span dash 1. So if I refresh it, now it is 1, but I don't want the second one to be here. What I can do?
Call start from the second one.
And the row should also be
Yes, sir.
the second one.
Second one, yes, sir.
So
All start.
and what else can we do? Okay, so the second one is this. So on MD, it should start from row dash start 2 and MD call dash start dash 1. Hopefully it will work. MD row dash start.
So you put it in the wrong place. So this is the second one.
Oh yeah. So
Box 1.
where is H1? This one. We need to give it here.
So box 1. Okay, box 1. Sir.
So now it's starting here, but as the grid works, it has pushed it to the second one. So what we can do is we can make it stretch to the 2 columns. Let us do another trick to make it easier. Okay, so for example, I will just remove this, and this one is on MD. I will make it stretch 2 columns, span 2 columns.
And we will give paddings.
Okay, so now it is stretching 2, but it is moving to the whole screen, right?
Yes, sir.
This is not something we want. So what we can do is, it is spanning 2 columns, but here we will make it MD grid and grid MD grid dash calls dash 2, right? So it is 2 columns now. It is nested grid. And what we can do is we can make it span MD grid dash span dash 1. So probably it will be working now as expected. Got it? So it actually is now 2 columns, nested grid, and we have moved the it into the okay. So if you go back to this, you can fix the font sizes. Okay, one thing is right time. We need probably the font a bit smaller on MD, right? It's quite huge there. So if you remember, what we have used is text dash NXL. It means this is for all the exactly. So we will make it only on LG like this, and on MD we'll make it text dash say 5XL, right? And we want it to be font dash bold on MD. Is this fine? So you can already judge how easy it is to not be using responsive media queries, right? So with just these classes we are able to use different sizes, and so now it's a smaller font and bolder as well. But if we stretch to the larger design, okay, if you give something, this is general CSS rule and it applies to Tailwind CSS also. For example, I have made it MD font bold. It means starting from MD the font should be bold, so it is regulating its power to LG also. So if I don't want on LG the font to be bold, so what I can do is LG font dash normal. Fine. So now on LG font won't be, it's normal, but if we go to this one, so it's bold now, right? Okay, the next is probably we don't need to do much now, almost we are there. You may need to make minor fixes, but that's it. Now if you come to this mobile version, we already have given it 1, so it's almost there. You can play with the image sizes and object cover. That I will leave it to you, as this is your assignment, not mine. So rest of this should be done by you. Let me give you some resources also. You can learn further. So Tailwind Lab, and again I will leave it to you. You go to Tailwind Labs, and this is translating a custom design system to Tailwind, and this is this should be followed. If you have a design in Figma, you know what the font sizes are, the colors are, everything, okay, before launching a website, for example. So this will help you how to set up Tailwind CSS for those designs, right? So you should follow this one for that earlier assignment which I have given to you. Then there is Traversy Media. He is a champion, and this is Tailwind Crash Course project from scratch. He has built this design in 1 hour and 30 minutes. So you should follow this tutorial also. Okay. Tailwind Crash Course project from scratch. So this is your next task. You should learn Tailwind CSS by watching this one video. Okay. And today what we studied was actually something great. So it should be now part of your armory in your web development careers, because Tailwind CSS is very, very powerful, and it has a lot of goodies attached to it. So what initially we did was install Tailwind, and again you can go to documentation and Tailwind CLI. So all of this has been set up. We started with if you go to the installation process, and you can just copy, go to this first one, Tailwind. Later in the course maybe we start using post CSS also, but this is the easiest way, Tailwind CSS. You just need to follow all these. First you have to install Node in your laptops, and then you should go through all these steps, and it's very easy. We haven't used if you need to put all of your CSS files inside a source directory, so well and good. Otherwise, if it is in the root, you will need to remove this src from it. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much.